we are entering into our another super class. We are finished with our super class, that is spices. Now we are entering into our super class which are having limbs. So super class is our Tetrapoda, and class, it has four classes, basically very famous four classes, that is Amphibia and Reptilia. Most evolved animals they have: Amphibia, Reptilia, aves, as well as mammalia. Right, so now we are coming very closer to the mammals. So today in this particular lecture I will only talk about amphibia with you. And I always believe that whenever, because we have done lots of things from this chapter now, animal kingdom, lots of phylum, so I believe that you have to at least keep one example in your mind for every single phylum. See, if you do not remember single example from every phylum, then sometimes it is very difficult for you to write down the features. The moment you just imagine that member of particular phylum, many of the features are automatically described. Suppose we are talking about now class Amphibia, so I will request all of you to keep frog in your mind, because frog is very famous popular member of this class, that is Amphibia. Frog, toad, they are very famous, and they are very common one which we all of us have seen, right? So when we say Amphibia, the animals, they show dual mode of life. Amphi means dual and bios means life. Dual mode of life means they can survive on land as well as on water. Abhi tak we were talking about the fish world, which are exclusively, they are found in water only. You cannot observe any fish on the land. But now evolution is happening. So here we are entering into the class which are having dual mode of life. They can survive on land as well as on water. But see, the main thing about them is that either can survive on land, no problem with that, but still they are dependent on water for their reproduction. That is their main characteristic, that they are dependent on water for the reproduction. So they are found on water, they can found on land, both. That is the very common example is frog. Usually prefer to live in the terrestrial habitat, that is our toad. I will tell you one major differences when we will talk about their examples, that what are the differences between a frog and toad, right? So till stay with me till the last point, because then we will talk about the एग्जाम्पल्स. आर्बोरियल, आर्बोरियल मीन्स जो कि आपकी ट्री पे रहते हैं, दे लिव ऑन ट्रीज, दे आर आर्बोरियल. सो ट्री फ्रॉग इज Hyla. Water and land, that is frog. Mostly on the terrestrial, that is toad. And arboreal, that is tree frog, which is known as Hyla. If we talk about their digestive system, see, they are carnivores, they are not herbivores. So these amphibians, they are carnivores. Their teeth, just in our previous lecture we talked about these three terms: homodont, polyphyodont, as well as acrodont. Homodont, same shape, same size, right? Acrodont shape, tooth is very superficially attached. Polyphont, they have multiple sets. Every time if any set fall off, the new set is डेवलप. बच्चा अगर नहीं इसको अभी तक आपने देखा है, then I will request please go through the lecture of bony fishes. These three terms I have described there very clearly. What is homodont, what is acrodont, what is polyphyodont. Tongue, हमारे में टंग कैसी होती है? दैट इज बेसिकली आगे से फ्री होती है, राइट. यहाँ पे it is attached anteriorly and posteriorly free है. And tongue is very very sticky. Now यहाँ पे tongue इनकी रोल आउट होके बाहर निकलती है एकदम से. अगर फ्रॉग आपने देखा हो तो टंग करके बाहर निकलती है. सो दैट इज टंग इज वेरी स्टिकी एंड व्हेन दे टेक आउट देयर टंग, बेसिकली दैट टंग्स पर्पस इज टू डायरेक्टली catch their food. So insects, they eat insects that directly enter into it. They do not chew their food. So teeth, why they have teeth then? Teeth are only to provide grip on the food. They are not having this chewing habit, right? So tongue is anteriorly it is attached, but posteriorly it is free. So other end of digestive system is not here anus, here it is having cloaca. Cloaca is a common opening for, बहुत जगह किया है हमने cloaca के बारे में. They are common opening for, that is digestive, excretory and reproductive system. So usually we write that for alimentary canal, urinary bladder for urinary purpose, as well as reproductive tract, that open into a common chamber, that is cloaca, and then which opens further into the exterior part. So cloaca is a common opening for digestive, excretory and reproductive system. Okay. Respiratory system in young amphibians, because young hai to it means I am talking about here tadpoles. Sabne, every one of you have discussed metamorphosis in class 8. So I don't think that any one of you doesn't know about that frogs, their development is indirect. So there is larval stage is observed. So in young amphibians, respiration is, because they live in water, so respiration is through gills. And what about in tadpoles? In tadpoles, definitely there is the larva stage. So respiration is through gills, and this respiration is branchial respiration. But in adults, respiration can be through skin, respiration can be through buccopharyngeal cavity, or it can be through lungs. When the respiration is through skin, it is known as cutaneous respiration, and mostly it is basically helps the organism to respire in the water. About lungs and buccopharyngeal cavity, they help the organism to respire on the land. When the respiration is through lungs, it is known as pulmonary respiration. Respiration through gills, branchial respiration. Respiration through skin, cutaneous respiration. Respiration through lungs, pulmonary respiration, right? So 3 types of respiration can be observed here. Skin is very moist, vascular, glandular. Most important thing, very important. Skin moist क्यों रहती है? Because ultimately there has to be dissolved oxygen, which help the gases to move in the respiratory system. So gases are in the dissolved form. Now glandular, mucus gland basically keeps secreting the mucus, which makes the skin moist. Vascular, continuous blood supply is there on the skin. So skin is moist, glandular and vascular, because skin is helping in the respiration. So dissolved oxygen, that gases are exchanged in the dissolved form. Scales are completely absent here. You will not observe scales. कभी frog पे scale देखे आपने? No. Circulatory system, they have 3 chambered heart, right? There is no problem in receiving, but there is a little bit problem when there is blood has to go to different parts, because they have only single ventricle. So they have 3 chambered heart, 2 auricles, 2 atrium and 1 ventricle. Now blood passes through heart 2 times. So this is double circulation heart, but this double circulation is not complete. It is incomplete because it supplies mixed blood. So now heart is receiving mixed blood. So this type of heart is known as arteriovenous heart. So heart is known as arteriovenous heart. When the mixed blood is supplied, heart is known as arteriovenous heart. If we talk about their poikilotherms, they are cold-blooded animals. They cannot regulate their internal body temperature, and as well as in the circulation system, they have 2 accessory chambers, sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. Sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. I told you that scales, they are completely absent. So exoskeleton absent, endoskeleton bony. One of very important things. Skull is dicondylic. Dicondylic का मतलब 2 condyles. 2 condyle is like they are having semicircular projection. अगर मैं इसको थोड़ा सा बड़ा करूं, यहाँ पे semicircular, not complete circle, there are semicircular projections. So here see, in our case, here in the frog also it is dicondylic. There are 2 condyles, that is the semicircular projections. Now these 2 condyles, they fit into vertebral column. Now this vertebral column has first vertebrae, which is known as your atlas, and then atlas, these condyles, they fit, right? That is what happens in case of human beings also. So second vertebrae of neck region, but in case of human beings, second vertebrae is present. Even in human beings, we have 7 cervical vertebrae, and second vertebrae is known as axis. And why do you need this 7 cervical vertebrae? For the neck movement. But in frog, this whole neck is absent. So there is no cervical vertebrae. They have different kinds of vertebrae with the different names. So only and only first vertebrae is there, that is known as atlas. And skull is dicondylic, means 2 condyles, these semicircular projection, they fit into your first vertebra of vertebral column. And what is the name of first vertebra? That is atlas. एंड सेकेंड वर्टिब्रा, अगर गलती से किसी ने फ्रॉग में सेकेंड वर्टिब्रा लिख दिया है तो वो गलत है बच्चा. सेकेंड वर्टिब्रा एब्सेंट होता है. दे डू नॉट हैव नेक. नेक इज एब्सेंट. सो सेकेंड वर्टिब्रा मैंने स्पेसिफिकली यहाँ पे लिखा है, मैं मार्क भी कर देती हूँ. सेकेंड वर्टिब्रा ऑफ नेक रीजन इज एब्सेंट in frog. It is absent. In our case, it is definitely present, but in frog, it is absent. They have different kinds of vertebra. Nervous system. 10 pairs of cranial nerves are present. Eyes, they have bulging eyes. Bulging होती है, समझते हो, बाहर को निकली हुई एकदम. Ear is external is absent, they have middle and inner ear is present, and middle ear के पास भी सिर्फ one ear ossicles है, that is stapes. Only stapes is there. हमारे पास तीन होती हैं, that is Malleus, Incus and stapes, but frog के पास there is only one ear ossicles. And what is that ossicle? Only and only stapes. Young ones, they are aquatic. If we talk about nitrogenous waste, in which form they release their nitrogenous waste? Young ones, they are aquatic. So they are, no doubt, that should be very confident. You all of you should be very confident. Aquatic means a monotelic. 500 ml of water is needed every time to remove 1 gram of ammonia. So you can think कि only aquatic ones they can afford that much of water. In adults, they are ureotelic. But there is one example in which even adults are monotelic. इसको अलग से करके लिखना है. That is our salamander. Salamander में हमारे पास adults भी monotelic है, but usually amphibians में adults they are ureotelic, and those who are in the aquatic forms, only the young ones, they are monotelic. Now, to avoid high and cold temperature, they usually show hibernation as well as estivation. What is hibernation and estivation? Means they go into winter sleep, and estivation is known as summer sleep. So to avoid very high or very cold temperature, they show hibernation and estivation. Reproduction, again sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. डेवलपमेंट, क्योंकि हम शुरू से यहाँ पे टैडपोल्स की बात कर रहे हैं, लार्वा की बात कर रहे हैं, सो डेवलपमेंट कोई डाउट ही नहीं है कि इनडायरेक्ट है. नाउ दे आर oviparous. They are oviparous. They lay eggs. Example, I told you that at the end I will tell you the differences between toad and frog. देखो बच्चों, जो frog होता है, it has very wet skin. Always remember that it has very wet skin. Smooth होती है, but it has more color. And जो toad होता है आपका, it is thick and very dry skin, और usually आपको वो इसी कलर में ब्राउन से कलर में मिलता है, right? And ये जो frog होता है, it lay eggs in clusters like this, in the cluster, in the group. जो toad होता है, इसके eggs chains में होते हैं, in the chain form. और अगर इनके one another morphological features, very long legs. Frog has very long leg. Toad क्योंकि land पे रहता है, usually it is having short legs. So next time आपको कभी भी confusion होना नहीं चाहिए कि अरे toad और frog एक जैसे तो दिखते हैं, what is the difference? No बच्चा, there is the difference, and very small differences although there, but they are different, but they belong to same class, that is Amphibia. Hyla, that is our tree frog, which is arboreal. Salamander, you know that अभी हमने salamander की property की है, they are, everyone is a monotelic here. So here, as you can see, it looks like a chameleon, but it is not chameleon, it is salamander. Very slimy skin. Then Ichthyopis. Ichthyopis is very, very, very important objective questions. That limbless amphibia, that is Ichthyopis. It is one of the member which is not having limbs. Or बच्चे इसको tapeworm. Then there is the एनालिडा, पता नहीं किस किस ग्रुप में डाल के आते हैं बच्चा. इक्थियोपिस is limbless amphibia. It belongs to class amphibia. So here we are finished with our three major classes, I will say. That is our Osteichthyes and Chondrichthyes, as well as our amphibia. And next we will talk about reptiles.